So as we've been covering on this show, first Trump sent 3 warships and 4,000 troops to Venezuela. Now, I was losing my fucking mind over that because that shows that we're, at the very least, threatening an illegal war with Venezuela, but also likely just about to do an illegal war with Venezuela. Then we learned it's actually now 7 warships that have been sent to Venezuela and 4,500 troops, which means fucking red alert, y'all. Are we just doing this for shits and giggles? Are we doing this as a bluff, or is this serious? And I'll tell you what, even if it is just a bluff, it's fucked up, right? Now, what drove me crazy is Trump is doing this. I don't know if a single Democrat talked about it. I don't know if a single Democrat called it out and said, what the fuck is this? I don't know if a single media outlet covered this in any serious detail, but I was over here losing my goddamn mind over this. Like, why is this not a bigger story? Well, guess what? Trump, when he did his I'm not dead press conference the other day, he decided to casually, nonchalantly brag and congratulate Marco Rubio and the Pentagon for doing an illegal terror attack against a Venezuelan boat. So here we go. I'll play it for you. This is what he said.
I just want to congratulate you. It's a very big deal. When you come out and when you leave the room, you'll see that we just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat. And you'll be seeing that and you'll be reading about that. It just happened moments ago. And our great general, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who's been so incredible, including what took place in Iran, knocking out potential nuclear power for a long time to come. I think within a month they would have had it if we didn't do what we did. But he gave us a little bit of a briefing, and you'll see. And there's more where that came from. We have a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. And we just, these came out of Venezuela and coming out very heavily from Venezuela. A lot of things are coming out of Venezuela. So we took it out, and you'll get to see that after this meeting is over.
So first of all, zero evidence there were actually drugs on the boat. That's point number one. Point number two is, even if there were drugs on the boat, the answer to that is not immediate execution. No due process. We're judge, jury, and executioner, and we're just going to assassinate you on the water for allegedly having drugs. Now, by the way, this boat was a fucking dinghy, y'all. This shit, even if it had drugs, it didn't have enough cocaine for a bachelor party. I'm not kidding. So I'm about to show you the video right now. So this is Marco Rubio tweeting this, bragging about it. Ready? Here's the video. Look at how small that boat is. That's like a tiny fucking fishing boat. Even if there were drugs on that boat, that shit is not enough for a bachelor party. There you go. Boom. Now, understand something. As everybody knows, like I said, we have 7 warships there. We have 4,500 troops there. Even if you were to try, we need to stop this, right? Oh, okay. Well, you can fucking get to the ship, board the ship, force them on, your ship, search it, whatever. No, they made an active decision to commit murder. Somebody on Twitter correctly called, this is like moral collapse in our country. Moral collapse. This is illegal. This is an offensive attack. There's zero evidence this is even drugs like they say it was. And even if it was drugs, this is not something, you don't just assassinate people. What's even the fucking punishment for smuggling a tiny amount of drugs into the country? 4 years in prison or some shit? And you illegally assassinated innocent people over this? What the fuck is wrong with these people, bro? Seriously, what is wrong with these people? So as Ryan Grimm said, U.S. naval armada taking on a dinghy while the IDF opens fire daily on starving people at aid distribution sites. 2 nations of terrorists and cowards who deserve each other. I see no other correct conclusion except that. Israel is a terrorist state. They are a terrorist state. The United States is a terrorist state. This is terrorist state shit. That's what this is. Another good point that I wanted to point out here. Tommy Vietor says, Trump has officially merged the war on terror and the war on drugs. What could go wrong? That's exactly right. So we had the war on terror under George W. Bush, where, okay, under the guise of fighting Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, we're going to be able to bomb wherever we want, invade wherever we want. The rules don't apply. Fuck international law. That's how we treated that. Now we're taking the war on drugs and merging it with the war on terror. And so what they're trying to do is designate every single person involved in the drug trade as a terrorist, which then they in turn say gives them the right, hey, we can murder whoever we want. We can murder whoever we want. If we just accuse you of being involved in the drug trade, we don't have to show evidence. We don't have to prove anything. We could just murder you. And as I pointed out, even if you did prove this person is involved in the drug trade, that's not something worthy of fucking execution. This is mental. So make no mistake about it. This is the United States of America doing an illegal and offensive strike against a Venezuelan boat. And, by extension, this is an attack on Venezuela and their sovereignty. And we'll get into exactly why this is happening in a second. So first, let me show you this. AFP news agency says Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro said Monday that 8 U.S. military vessels with 1,200 missiles were targeting his country, which he declared to be in a state of maximum readiness to defend itself. So Maduro looks like he's thinking they're like literally going for full regime change. Again, the cover story is, oh man, we're really going to go after those drugs. We're going to stop those drugs. What's actually happening behind the scenes? Well, we know in the first term, Trump already tried to do a coup of Venezuela. I don't know how many of you guys remember this stuff or follow it. Mainstream media didn't talk about it that much. We talked about it a lot on this channel. But what happened was they would pretend like this guy, Juan Guaido, they pretended like he was the president of Venezuela, even though he's not. They would invite him to all these like international events with other world leaders and have him fucking meander around like he belongs there. And he would act like, they would announce him as the president of Venezuela. Meanwhile, he's not. So they did this weird thing where it was like they tried to do a coup and then they just pretended like it succeeded when it didn't, right? And so that was the failed attempt in the first term. And now in the second term, it looks like they're just like, fuck it, let's do a regime change war. Let's go all in. So what happened? Well, Marco Rubio, of course, is the Secretary of State. He's been yearning for regime change here. So that's one thing which could help lead to why they're doing this policy. But the other thing is a guy by the name of Erik Prince. Now, who is Erik Prince? Erik Prince is a mercenary fighter who ran this group called Blackwater, this mercenary army. It is a Christian fundamentalist fighting force that was used in Iraq illegally. And in Iraq, this Christian fundamentalist fighting force ended up murdering Muslims and doing what was called the Nisour Square massacre. There were a bunch of innocent Muslims in a marketplace, and Blackwater soldiers showed up and started gunning everybody down left and right. And they were actually found guilty of war crimes. Trump pardoned them. So they did war crimes, found guilty, Trump pardoned them. Erik Prince is I believe he's the brother of Betsy DeVos, who was the education secretary, I believe, in the first term. And so he runs in these high society circles. So he has been whispering in Trump's ear about Venezuela also. Let me give you a breakdown from Mind War. Here's what they say. Enter the Prince of Darkness. International terrorist Erik Prince was deeply involved in El Salvadoran dictator Nayib Bukele's CICOT becoming Trump's go-to foreign black site and has been pitching himself as Trump's operations manager for mass deportations for several years. So that's interesting. This guy helped convince, hey, let's send people to this concentration camp in El Salvador. He continues, including a plan earlier this year that sounds suspiciously like what the DHS, ICE, and CBP is planning to do with nearly $200 billion allocated to them in Trump's big, beautiful bill. And then he has a bunch of headlines here about that. He continues, Prince has a very long record of showing up in countries to agitate for often violent change in government so he can make money in the aftermath. Now he has a new Blackwater, Vectis Global. So that's the new Blackwater. They changed the name like 4 or 5 times because they're international criminals. These are terrorists. Okay. Vectis Global to muscle back into the mercenary business. But Prince has a special hatred for Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro and has been agitating to overthrow his government for at least 6 years. In 2019, Prince pitched a plan to topple Maduro with 5,000 contractors, costing $40 million, selling it as a quick, clean intervention that wouldn't burden U.S. troops. Last year, Prince launched a massive psychological warfare campaign in Venezuela called Yacasi Venezuela to oust Maduro. To add to the concern about the goals of this operation, the Pentagon is now under the control of theocratic misogynist Fox host Pete Hegseth, a close friend of Erik Prince, who was instrumental in getting Hegseth the top job at the Pentagon, despite Hegseth's total lack of qualifications and character. So, this is what he's trying. So he's got his puppets in there. Hegseth is a mouthpiece of Erik Prince. Erik Prince is sort of like Rasputin, controlling the direction of the White House without even directly being close to Trump. Quote, I'm not close to Trump, but I'm close to his staff, said Prince, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. The two men swam together across the Hudson River between New Jersey and New York for a charity event. Hegseth, as a Fox News host in 2019, advocated clemency for the 4 Blackwater contractors sentenced to prison for the killing of 14 civilians in Iraq. So that's the Nisour Square massacre. So it was Hegseth who lobbied Trump on behalf of Erik Prince to get the pardons for the Blackwater terrorists. That happened. Now Hegseth is the Secretary of Defense. And so Hegseth is a puppet of Erik Prince, this theocratic international terrorist. And he has convinced them, we're going to do regime change in Venezuela. And what ultimately do they want to do? They want to profit off of it. Trump wants to steal the oil from Venezuela. Trump brags about stealing the oil from Syria. He's done it multiple times. We occupied a third of Syria to take the oil, to the victor go the spoils. There's also videos of him bragging, saying, in Iraq, we should have taken the oil. He said that it was one of his go-to lines when he would speak at CPAC. This is before he was president. He said it about Syria when he was president. So the idea in Venezuela is, I showed you the clip the other week. He says, I was going to take the oil. He wants to take the oil. So they want to take the oil, and then Erik Prince also wants to profit off of occupying Venezuela and putting in a puppet regime. That's what they want to do. And this is how they think. Venezuela is in our backyard. Sure, they're a sovereign nation, and they have right to do what they want, but actually they don't, because they're in our backyard, so we get to control them, and we get to steal their natural resources, and we get to put a puppet dictator in charge of the country, and we get to run it, and Erik Prince gets to occupy it. That's what we're looking at. Another illegal and offensive war against a country that didn't attack us, another military occupation, wasting unnecessary lives, unnecessary money, killing civilians, and basically repeating yet again the massive failures of the war on terror, the endless occupation of the Middle East, which is still going on today. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. So all the bullshit about Trump, how he ran against Dick Cheney and ran against George W. Bush and I'm against the Iraq war. I don't like it was a stupid war. It was a stupid war. He's doing all that same shit. He attacked Iran. They're not done yet, by the way. They're going to keep going on that one. He attacked Somalia. He attacked Yemen. You think he's done? He's going to go after Mexico, Venezuela. He might even actually make a move on Greenland. He might actually make a move on Panama, like he said he would do at the beginning of his term. This guy is a fucking unhinged warmonger. And he wants to go down in the history books. And in his mind, he thinks, well, one of the good ways to go down in the history books is to expand our territory, right? Actually steal Greenland, actually take back Panama. He wants to be the big tough guy. So ironically, at the same time, this motherfucker brags all the time about, I ended 7 wars. Total lie. He keeps starting new wars. This is dangerous as dangerous can be. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.